Michael, another busy week ahead. You must be in a reasonably confident frame of mind, given the fact that you had a good result at Nottingham, which might have been better, but you've had a full 4 days training too, so everything's looking good, hopefully.
Yeah, it's been a good week for us. We have a really busy schedule coming up, so we had to manage the training a little bit as well. The players will get very few, rest days, in the next period up until I think we have a midweek game all the way up to the international break. So we have to be ready to deal with that as well. But they've worked well this week, and they'll be ready to play tomorrow.
Birmingham have coming to Stoke following a good win against Luton, and they too have had some players come in the January transfer windows that have freshened them up. Bakuna, who's got good vision, he's got great technical ability in the middle, and then you've got Hernandez and Lyle Taylor up front who've contributed well. Yeah,
they're good players, and Lee's done well. He obviously felt that was an area of his team he needed to strengthen, and he's got injuries, I think, with Hogan and Deeney both being out, so it was probably necessary for them to do that as well. So yeah, look, the players you mentioned have hit the ground running and given them a little bit of a lift. So we got to be ready to match that and deal with the threat of those players, because they're all attacking players. But tomorrow again, it's about concentrating on how we are in the game and our own level of performance, and obviously to get on the front foot, to dominate the ball and continue to try and look and probe and create chances the way we obviously did against Swansea in the last game at home.
They haven't travelled well this season, but in this league you just can't tell, can you, from one match to another?
No, it's very difficult. Teams there's results that it's very difficult to predict, I think, any result in this league, and teams are always, surprising. So we haven't looked much at that. We look at the team, we look at how they're playing. They've had a difficult period, I think, but equally they're in a position where, they're a long way from the bottom three as well in terms of points. I think maybe 16 points or somewhere in that region. But the most important thing for us is, we're looking up the way and trying to make inroads into the gap that is above us. And to do that, we're obviously going to have to win as many home games as possible between now and the end of the season.
With having the lead at Nottingham Forest and again in other matches, turning dominance into wins isn't easy. The new players you brought in are a mixture of youth and experience. How difficult is it now to change that mentality, if it is a mentality thing, into getting those points extra that are needed?
I think it's a combination of a number of things. It's in moments in games, it's how the opposition react to the situation in the game as well. We felt that, obviously Nottingham Forest scored against the run of play in last week, and then we had a period for about 5 to 8 minutes where we didn't play particularly well, and we got a little bit ragged, and suddenly you can lose another goal in that period, and it makes it more difficult. But we got ourselves together again. We started playing. We obviously got ourselves level, and then we got ourselves ahead. And ultimately, we've got to do better again. When we got ahead, we kind of got a little bit ragged again. And this is what we showed the players this week. We went through the video of them showing, look, these are the moments in the game that we got to take that out of our game, because we're losing games or dropping points, not because we've played badly for 90 minutes. We're losing them more often than not when we've lost points. It's just been particular sections and games that have cost us, and that's something that we have to make sure that is the exception more and more as it's between now and the end of the season and going forward as well. This is something as a team that we have to deal with these types of scenarios sometimes better than we have done in games.
Far better than myself about where you lose the ball, in transitions. Is that a mentality thing, the way you deal with it though?
We lose the ball in transition because we're making bad decisions and our poor execution. And there was no better example of it last week, where we turned down opportunities where we 2v1 on the side, or at times 3v2 on the side, and we went the other way and then possibly lost the ball. And next thing, we're having to run 60 yards back to defend against a team that are playing on the counter attack. So now, look, we're constantly on about the retention of the ball. Particularly like I suppose in the middle sort of third of the pitch is where transition hurts you more than anywhere else. In the final third of the pitch, you have to take risk, and players need to play with risk. But within that middle third, you need to play with speed, and you need to play with structure, so that you get the ball into the final third and in better areas with more bodies higher than just going longer. So that's what we focused a lot on, and we focused a lot on that basically since I came to the club. And we're still work in progress at times in that, and sometimes it's down to the opposition. What Forest did well was they got back quick, and so we were having to break down maybe 10 players at times in their own half, and that's not easy. So we've looked at that, and we looked at ways that we can improve in that area as well, and worked on that this week.
Well, you'll obviously, with it being a 3-game week, want to freshen up the squad at some stage. But how are we injury wise?
Nick Powell have a fitness test in the morning. Therese has trained the last 2 days, which is good. And so unless there's a reaction overnight from Ty, he'll come into consideration for tomorrow. Mario is close to joining back in training. Romain has been training this week, but we just got to see where he's at. It's probably a little bit soon for him, but we've got to make a decision on that. And Abdullah Sima returns to the club on Monday. I haven't been at Brighton for a groin operation and rehabilitation. And Harry's obviously the long-term option at this minute in time. Yeah,
is it true that Suter's sort of gradually increasing his training and is now back on the gravity machine?
Yeah, he'll be doing stuff on the Alter G, and he does. It's most of his rehab at this minute in time is gym based, and that type of thing. So, but he's working very hard. He's in good condition, and I've had good chats with him, because I think it's really important. The one thing that you can be when you come back from a long-term injury is you can develop a lot of good habits in that period. You can, and that's something I've seen that with many players over the years, that they're able to change because they have that time to devote to their own personal condition that they maybe don't have during the season. Then that can be something that stays with them for the rest of their career as well. So Harry's looking good at this minute in time. The physios, the medical team are very pleased with him, and he's working very hard.
The team seems very comfortable working with the back four again.
Yeah, I think they were comfortable working with a back three as well. I think that's the type. I don't think it's been a major change. If you look at it realistically, in the last few weeks we played Ben Wilmot at right back. He was playing right side at centre back. So, that's a matter of yards on the pitch in terms of how the team plays. So I didn't have any doubts that we would be able to adapt to that quite quickly. And, Phil Jagielka and Taylor have played the first half of the season in a back four predominantly. Derby, I know Phil always played in a back four. Taylor maybe switched a little bit between a back three and a back four at Anderlecht. And obviously Josh has slotted in quite nicely at left back as well.
When you look at how you've lowered the age of the squad, you must also be really pleased at how the younger age groups are doing. I mean, there have been great wins this week for the under-16s, the under-18s and the under-23s. That must all go well for the future for the team. Yeah,
it does. I think it's important for your underage teams to win games. It's important because it lifts people in the academy, and that's very important. But the most important thing is that an academy produces players for the first team, and that's very important as well. But there's no doubt the teams have been performing well. It's always difficult, I think, to tell. In underage football, is sometimes you play against a younger team, or obviously I haven't been able to watch any of those games because we were playing ourselves. But I think they had two very good results against Arsenal, which is always nice to have that feather in your cap. And that we've got to push on and try and get those players through the age groups, and obviously get them through into the 23s and hopefully closer to the first team.
And while you're talking about players that have come through the academy, Tom Edwards came through the academy, and obviously he's gone out on loan again to New York Red Bulls. What's the rationale behind that?
Well, when Tom came back from New York, obviously we brought him back into the first team squad, and then unfortunately he got injured maybe 4 weeks into that period, and I just didn't feel that Tom was going to affect the first team. there was an offer to do the deal permanently, but Tom didn't want to do that. So he's made that decision that his preference was to go on loan. And that's the players, he has a contract here for another 2.5 years. And that's the decision that he has made, and hopefully this loan goes well. I think it's a great opportunity for him. He did well out there on loan. And, I think, to go out there and play is it's an exciting opportunity. And as I say, he goes now with our best wishes, and hopefully it goes well for him.
And finally, from me, you're in line for the highest attendance of the keep tomorrow, which might cut some of the wind at bay. But certainly, if they can get behind the team, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it makes a huge difference. And we need to, that's why a good performance and a good result is important. It keeps the supporters with the team, and that's something that we need. Like I thought, if you look at us in recent weeks, the performance, we great away support at Forest. We played extremely well against Swansea for the 90 minutes. It would have been nice to see the stadium fuller than it was on that night. It's a midweek game. I understand that, but we have to obviously make a greater push to really make an impact in top six, and hopefully that keeps the fans with us and gives us the support we need to make a challenge going forward.
Can I just clarify one thing? I'm sorry, I said it was the last thing. Nick Powell, is it a hamstring problem?
Yes, it was a hamstring injury, yeah.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you, Ange. Cheers.
Thanks, Ange. George now, please.
Michael, obviously you're going to the game and you possibly will have to play the conditions, the weather forecast we're assuming. That's difficult. It's hard for you when you assess players in training, particularly of you have today. Is that a difficult thing for you and the team to assess? How you're going to face that? They will face it as well. I know that it's a two-way street.
Not really, no. I mean, you have to prepare. We don't know what it'll be like tomorrow. It may not be as severe as it is today. Certainly the conditions will play a factor in how the game is played. There's no doubt about that. But until that happens, we're not in control of that. So, we've prepared the team to play as we normally would do. And, the players there's enough experience there. There's enough energy and running power in the team to deal with the conditions, and both teams will have to deal with that. But hopefully the conditions won't be what we see today, because it'll make the game very difficult for everyone. It'll affect the game as a spectacle. I've no doubt about that, if the conditions are as they are at the training ground at this minute in time. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. It's a bit like refereeing decisions. It's something you're never in control of.
For yourself as well, you've just touched on you want to take care of the ball more. Is that one of the major factors that you feel that you've lost points in certain games this season, Michael? Not taking care of the ball enough?
But I think you're always wanting to take care of the ball better. If you have it, the other team can't really hurt you, and that's where we've constantly tried to progress as a team. We caused problems for ourselves last week in the game because we gave the ball away, in the opposition half, and they counter-attacked us from that, and we had to then defend at times, over long distances. Players having to sprint back and defend. And then we would then have another waves of attack where we would, a packed defence and try and work our way through that situation. So, that's the nature of the game, and it's probably something that we faced more this season than any time since I've been here, because I think the team is better. We've also, I think we'll face it more between now and the end of the season, but we're always wanting to be better in the final third of the pitch and also in the middle third of the pitch, because it's when you lose the ball in that area of the pitch that, the opportunity for the opposition to hurt you is always more.
Birmingham come here today, of course, on the back of a good win, but if there's anything you could say about Birmingham, they're inconsistent by that inconsistency, aren't they? Lebo has faced a difficult test with what's going on off the pitch, but that won't affect the way he will set his team up and line up against you, will it?
No, I don't think. Lee's a good manager, and he's a young manager as well, and I think he's proven himself already and done extremely well. And I think it's pretty evident that he's not scared to make decisions. He's made good signings in the window. He obviously felt that was necessary, and we expect a tough game. We've had tough games. Like nothing changes in this league. You never go into any game thinking it's going to be easy, and we've not had an easy game this season at any point. So we are totally focused and expect obviously what Birmingham will bring to the table tomorrow.
You can get a good foothold in now with back-to-back home games starting to move tomorrow against Birmingham, can't you? Get a good foothold in making that push towards where you want to be.
Well, look, there's 3 points in offer tomorrow, and we have to try and take 3 points without trying to put, anything more than that or having targets or longer term visions. We know what the longer term vision for the club is, but the most important thing is you play the game in front of you, and that's Birmingham tomorrow, and there's 3 points available, and we'll do everything to try and take them.
Thanks, Michael. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Cheers, George. Dave, anything from you?
Hi, Michael. Your away record is comparable to the playoffs teams like Blackburn, Huddersfield and Middlesbrough, but there's an inconsistency with your home record that has kind of let you down this season. You've now got 2 key home games within the space of 5 days, Birmingham and Luton. What have you got to do to sort of turn around that home form and really re-kickstart Stoke's promotion opportunities?
I think if you look up until November, our home form, I think, was as good as anyone's in the league at that point in time. So it's not something which has dogged us all season. It's something that has dogged us in the last couple of months. I think in the last couple of months, we've had our most problems in the season in terms of injury and COVID and everything. We've obviously come through the transfer window. We believe the squad is stronger than it was when we went into the transfer window. So we have to put that back and perform. And I think we've done that at home, and certainly since January and coming out of January into the games in February, and we've got to just make sure we continue that. And our home form will be a big factor in where we finish this season. So we've got to make sure that we try and take maximum points in every game.
What can you do to actually improve home form? I mean, is there anything that is sort of not going quite right at home?
I don't think so. Look, I think players are always a little bit more anxious when they play at home, and there's probably more expectation when you play at home in front of your home fans. So, it can be a little bit more difficult an atmosphere to play in at times, but that's something that players, we have to deal with that. That's the same at every club, and it's always, there's no coincidence that when the team is going well and the fans are happy and entertained, that being at home is an easier place to play. So we have to get our home form back to where it was in the early part of the season.